All right, today we're tackling something really powerful, a core idea from the legendary investor Ray Dalio. It really boils down to this. To get what you want out of life, you have to start by seeing the world as it really is, not how you wish it was. So, let's get into it.
And it all kicks off with this quote. I mean, this one idea, it's really the engine behind everything Dalio believes. Think about it. He wasn't scared of failure. What he was truly terrified of was mediocrity. A life that was just meh. That fear is what pushed him to go after big things, to take risks, and to chase a great life. It's the spark that lights the whole fire.
So, when he was just starting out, Dalio's game plan was super simple. He just went for it. He chased after the things he wanted. And, he didn't have a lot of money, so honestly, what was there to lose? That gave him this incredible freedom to just relentlessly pursue his goals.
So, what happens when you're running full speed ahead like that, chasing huge goals? Yeah, you guessed it. You crash. Inevitably. Dalio, he failed. He made a ton of mistakes, hit all sorts of walls. But here's the key thing. It's not about the crash itself. It's about what he did right after.
See, for him, every single one of those crashes became a lesson, like a really important one. Each time he failed, he learned a little bit more about reality, about how things actually work. He wasn't just getting up and trying again the same old way. Nope. He got up smarter.
And this created this incredible feedback loop, right? Pursue, crash, learn, pursue, crash, learn. And it just led to constant improvement. He got better. He started crashing less. And eventually, and this is the wild part, he learned to love the whole process. He even started to appreciate the pain of the crash because he knew that's where the learning happens.
And it's through this whole cycle that Dalio landed on his most fundamental principle of all, and it's this: truth. Or to put it more simply, having a really accurate understanding of reality. That is the absolute foundation for getting good outcomes. I mean, you can't build a successful life on a fantasy, right? You gotta work with what's actually real.
Okay, so this slide really gets to the heart of the matter. It's this conflict, right here. Most of us, if we're honest, kind of live in that left column. We wish for a smooth path, for easy success. But reality, well, reality is that right column. It's messy, it's full of problems and tough truths. And trying to live in that fantasy world on the left, when the real world plays by the rules on the right, that's probably the single biggest reason people don't get what they want.
This whole approach is what led Dalio to call himself a hyper-realist. And now, this isn't about being a pessimist or being cynical at all. A hyper-realist is just someone who gets it. They understand that, look, we don't make the rules of reality, but we can learn those rules and use them to our advantage to get what we want and to grow. It's all about working with reality, not constantly fighting against it.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Okay, so what? I'm just supposed to accept things as they are and give up on my big dreams? And that's a totally fair question. But for Dalio, that's missing the point completely.
And the answer is a big, fat no. In fact, Dalio would argue that being a hyper-realist is the best way to achieve your dreams. Why? Because when you see the world clearly for what it is, you can actually choose better dreams. And, maybe more importantly, you can map out a way more effective path to actually get there. Which brings us to his first big formula. And it's so powerful. Look, it's not just about having big dreams, and it's not just about determination. It's the whole recipe. Big dreams plus embracing reality plus a ton of determination. That's what equals a successful life.
Okay, but this is where it gets really tough. This is the hardest part of this whole philosophy. Because it's not just about accepting reality out there. It's about forcing yourself to look at the hard stuff inside. Your own weaknesses, the mistakes you've made, the ugly problems that are standing right in your path.
And Dalio is super honest about this. He says, yeah, at first this was incredibly painful. Confronting his own screw-ups and weaknesses, it hurt a lot. But then he had this realization that the pain itself was just a signal. And if he could just change how he looked at that signal, well, that could change everything.
And here it is. This is that huge mindset shift. What if instead of seeing a problem as this big, scary threat that causes you pain, what if you saw it as a puzzle, like a game that's put in front of you, and if you solve it, you get a prize? Just that simple little switch in perspective, it turns pain into an opportunity.
And the prize you get for solving these puzzles? It's a 2-for-1 deal. First, obviously, you get to solve the problem that was bugging you. That's great. But the bigger prize is that you get a principle out of it, a lesson that you can carry with you to deal with all sorts of similar problems way better in the future.
This brings us to his second killer formula, and it's so simple. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Think about it. The pain is just the alarm bell telling you something's up. When you hear that alarm and you actually stop and reflect on it, ask yourself, why did this happen? What's the lesson here? That's when you make progress. This little equation literally turns the worst moments into fuel for your own growth.
So how do you get good at that reflection part? Well, for Dalio, one of his go-to tools was meditation. He found it was invaluable for just calming his mind down, getting some distance from the emotional sting of the pain, and looking at the situation objectively so he could actually learn from it.
So when you put this all together, you realize this isn't a passive thing at all. By embracing reality, by using pain as your trigger to reflect, you basically get the ability to direct your own personal evolution. You're not just a passenger anymore, you're in the driver's seat.
And the cool thing is, Dalio didn't just leave it as a big idea. He actually turned this philosophy into a practical, step-by-step system you can use. It's a simple 5-step process for putting all of this into action. And you know what? That's exactly what we're going to break down in our next explainer. So that really just leaves us with one final thought. Getting your head around this idea, that's step 1. But the real question, the one that matters, is for you. Are you willing to do it? Are you willing to look at the hard truths, to treat your problems like puzzles, and to turn your pain into your progress? Are you ready to embrace your reality?